We tested fruit flies. We decided to test how light will affect a fruit fly's behavior. Fruit flies have photoreceptors that allow them to perceive colors. They have 4 photoreceptors, whereas humans only have 3. This means that fruit flies can only see from the yellow-green light end of the spectrum to UV light. There are certain colors that can trigger behavioral instincts that differ from species to species. As such, these species will prefer certain colors to others. The question that we tested was, which color would the fruit flies prefer? Our hypothesis was that they would prefer white light because that is what they are accustomed to, and given a choice between pink and blue light, they would choose the pink light because it is closer to white light.
Now for the procedure. We made 3 chambers to hold the flies by cutting off the bottoms of water bottles and taping pairs of them together. The water bottles were dried before use. Each chamber was divided in half using a ruler, and a different color of cellophane was wrapped around each side. One chamber was half pink and half clear, the second was half blue and half clear, and the last chamber was half blue and half pink. We placed 5 to 10 flies into each chamber using a funnel and waited 5 minutes. At the 5-minute mark, we counted the number of flies on each side of the chamber and recorded the data. The flies were then removed and placed back into their vials using a funnel. This process was completed 3 times for each chamber for a total of 3 trials.
Out of our first experiment, which was the chamber wrapped half in the blue cellophane, the fruit flies preferred the white light. In all of the 3 trials, the majority of flies moved into that side of the chamber. In the second experiment, where half of the chamber was wrapped in pink cellophane, the fruit flies preferred the pink side. In the last experiment, where both halves were wrapped in different colored cellophane, the fruit flies went to the side with the pink. Our overall results is that fruit flies prefer pink over white, white over blue, and the pink over the blue. Our first experiment confirms our hypothesis since they gravitated towards the white light, while the second one disproved it since they liked the colored side more. Our last experiment also confirms our hypothesis since we thought between the blue and the pink, the flies would choose the pink side. This also confirms the visible light spectrum they see and the fact that fruit flies avoid blues and greens and prefer pinks and purples.
So the reason that this applies to fruit flies is because of their visible spectrum. So our results of preferring the more light through either no seraphim at all or through pink, which will block less of the light than the blue, is attributed to their preference for UV light instead of the blue light. So the reason this kind of applies to them, besides their gestational functions that scientists haven't really defined yet, is that they really prefer being out in the open and closer to light because they are flying creatures. So flying into a dark space where there isn't light and therefore not really space to fly around typically, they always want to go out towards the light and without anything blocking it or minimal blocking it by going into the pink instead of the blue areas. So we have a lot of error in our project, which is mostly attributed to the fact that fruit flies are really small and difficult to manage. So getting them out of the vials and into the bottles was pretty difficult, especially because they are winged creatures, so it was going to be easy for them to fly away. So we had to cover the funnel once we had it in there and kind of shake them to get them down in there, which even though we tried to dry out the bottles additionally, there were still some water droplets that we couldn't reach, and they may have gotten caught into some of these puddles and drowned. Also, some of them got caught in the cellophane paper, but that's fine. So to fix this, we would have to spend more time, do more trials, of course, and hopefully find a better process to get them in there, or we could also use wingless flies so that they couldn't fly away as easily. We also want to test more colors and more species, so maybe like horseflies, water flies, the wingless flies, as we said, and see if it's an animalia tendency to go towards the pink and the white light, or if it's just fruit flies specifically. Good? Yeah.